There is a business model that takes your money up front, then takes a percentage of everything you earn, then tells you what to sell, how to sell it, and what to charge, then takes another percentage for advertising, then renews the contract on their terms, not yours. And if you complain, they remind you that you signed the agreement voluntarily. This model is called franchising, and it is one of the most elegant wealth transfer mechanisms ever invented. Not for you, for them. Let's start with how franchising is sold to you. The pitch is always the same. You're not starting from scratch, you're buying into a proven system. The brand recognition is already there. The customers already exist. The playbook is already written. All you have to do is execute. It sounds like buying a shortcut to success. Here's what you're actually buying. You pay an initial franchise fee anywhere from $25,000 to $500,000, depending on the brand, for the right to use their name. Not to own anything, not to build equity in the brand, just to use the name. Then you spend between $500,000 and $2,700,000 building out the location. Equipment, construction, signage, furniture, all to brand specifications, all from approved suppliers, all at prices the franchisor has negotiated, sometimes with vendors they have financial relationships with. Then you open, and the fees begin. Here's the fee structure that nobody shows you in the brochure. 94% of franchise systems charge ongoing royalty fees. The average is 6% of gross revenue, not net profit. Gross revenue, before your costs, before your rent, before your staff, before you've paid yourself a single dollar. On top of royalties, most franchisors charge a marketing fund contribution, typically another 4% of gross sales. This money goes into a collective advertising fund that the franchisor controls. You contribute to it whether or not the campaigns benefit your specific location. Now add technology fees, POS system licensing, digital ordering platform fees, loyalty program integration. These are relatively new additions to franchise agreements, and they're growing. On a $1 million location, total ongoing fees, royalties plus marketing plus technology average 8.7% of gross revenue. Let's run that math on a McDonald's franchise. The average U.S. McDonald's generates $4 million in annual sales. Royalty fee at 5%, $200,000. Marketing fund at 4%, $160,000. That's $360,000 a year paid to McDonald's corporate before you've covered a single dollar of your own operating costs. You still have rent, labor, food costs, utilities, insurance. The franchisor collects $360,000 regardless of whether you're profitable. You absorb the risk. They collect the percentage every week, whether you make money or not. Now, here's the part that makes this structurally resemble a pyramid. In a traditional pyramid scheme, the people at the top extract value from the people below them. The people below take the operational risk. The people at the top take the recurring income. Franchising does this legally, with contracts, with FDDs, with lawyers. The franchisor sits at the top. They collect royalties from every franchisee in the system. They don't cook food. They don't serve customers. They don't manage staff. They build the system once. The brand, the playbook, the supply chain. And then they license that system to thousands of operators who do the actual work. McDonald's owns 93% of its locations through franchisees. That means 93% of McDonald's restaurants are run by independent operators who took the financial risk, hired the staff, managed the daily chaos, and pay McDonald's a royalty on every single transaction. McDonald's corporate reported $10.3 billion in revenue in 2024. The majority of that came from franchise fees and royalties, not from selling burgers. They are a royalty collection business that happens to have restaurants. The franchisees do the work. McDonald's takes the percentage every day in 40,000 locations across 100 countries. That is not a burger company. That is a royalty machine. But the royalty is only the first extraction point. The second one is the supply chain. And this is where the model gets genuinely uncomfortable. When you sign a franchise agreement, you agree to buy your supplies exclusively from approved suppliers. You cannot source ingredients from a cheaper vendor. You cannot switch to a local distributor who quotes you a better price. You buy from the approved list, full stop. The official reason is consistency. Same product, same quality, same customer experience across every location. That argument has merit, but here's what the official reason doesn't mention. Franchisors negotiate volume deals with approved suppliers. Those suppliers pay the franchisor rebates, a percentage of everything the franchisees spend, in exchange for being on the approved list. Those rebates flow back to corporate. This is not illegal. It is disclosed. Buried in Item 8 of the franchise disclosure document that most buyers don't read carefully enough. But think about the structure. You're required to buy from specific suppliers. Those suppliers pay a fee to the franchisor for the right to sell to you, which means the franchisor is collecting money from both sides of every supply transaction, from you in royalties and from the supplier in rebates. Quiznos ran this model aggressively for years. Franchisees complained so loudly about food costs that the word kickbacks became common in internal communications. Franchisees started closing by the dozens. The chain went from 5,000 locations to less than 400. The supply chain wasn't a consistency tool. It was a revenue stream, and it ran until the franchisees ran out of money. In 2024, Subway told its franchisees they were switching beverage suppliers from Coke to Pepsi. Franchisees who refused to sign the new beverage contract were threatened with termination. An attorney representing the Franchisee Association told Subway to stop, quote, harassing operators over the deal. You don't choose your suppliers, you don't choose your beverages, you signed the agreement. Now let's talk about the exit, because this is the part that closes the trap completely. Most franchise agreements run for 10 to 20 years. Subway's standard term is 20 years. At the end of that term, the franchisor can choose not to renew. No explanation required. No compensation owed for the business you built. The brand name was never yours. The system was never yours. The customer relationships technically belonged to the brand. You invested $500,000 to $2 million. You ran the location for a decade or more. You paid royalties every week, contributed to the marketing fund every month, bought from approved suppliers every order. And at renewal, the franchisor can simply decline. They can take over the location themselves if it's profitable enough. They can give it to a larger operator they prefer. They can renegotiate terms that bear no resemblance to what you originally signed. And you have almost no leverage, because you can't take the brand with you. You can't take the customer list. You can't take the system. You walk away from a business you built with whatever equipment you can sell and whatever the market will offer for a lease you're now trying to exit. There's also the non-compete clause. In most franchise agreements, when you leave, voluntarily or otherwise, you cannot open a competing business within a defined radius for a defined period. The FTC's 2024 ruling on non-competes expressly excluded franchise relationships. The restrictions remain fully enforceable. Subway added new contract terms in recent years that included penalties for closing any location for more than 2 days in a 12-month period. 2 days. Franchisees who closed for an unexpected reason, a flood, a health inspection, a staffing collapse, faced termination risk. The agreement protects the brand. It was never designed to protect you. So who should actually franchise? This video is not an argument against franchising as a concept. It's an argument for reading the contract. Franchising has created real wealth for real operators. The system works, the brand works, the playbook works for the right person in the right market with a clear-eyed understanding of what they're actually signing. The operators who get destroyed by franchising are not the ones who lacked passion or work ethic. They're the ones who bought the pitch without reading the document, who modeled best case revenue without modeling the fee structure against a bad year, who signed a 20-year agreement without understanding what non-renewal actually means. They signed away 8.7% of their gross revenue before they understood what that meant in a thin-margin business. They agreed to exclusive supply arrangements without calculating the rebate flows. They committed to a decade-long contract without asking what happens at renewal. The franchisor knew, the lawyers knew, the FDD disclosed it. Nobody forced you to sign. The question is whether you read what you signed. Next week, we're looking at the companies that figured out how to escape this gravity entirely, the restaurant brands that stopped paying other people's systems and built their own, what it cost them, what it made them, and why most operators never attempt it. That analysis goes to the newsletter first. Link is in the description. And if this video made you read a contract differently, that's exactly the point.
Subscribe! There's more where this came from.